But now we're joined by, I mentioned it before, Rodger Saffold from the St. Louis Rams, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Rodger, how are you today, bud?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, I'd be doing better if you didn't make me look so bad here, man. Back in August, I said, "Hey, I got the Rams going to the Super Bowl." I was professing all this love nationally on the radio and on TV. I said, "This is the year they break through. They got their quarterback. They got to run the ball. I love their defense." And you go 7-9. What the heck happened?
Oh man, just first of all, a grenade went off in the O-line room.
Yeah,
There was literally like 5 guys got hurt in maybe 2 weeks.
yeah, that's
So we
hard.
got all these young guys trying to get in there and trying to get adjusted. It's nuts.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how important that unit is. I mean, I did because I was a running back, and when one or two guys would go down, the whole system is screwed up because you just don't know each other. It's like this intrinsic trust that you have with a guy that's been there for a while. But you were able to win some important games, and you played a bunch of these teams that are playing this weekend. I think none more important than the Seattle Seahawks, who you guys actually beat in Seattle in Week 16. What's the vulnerability to a team like the Seahawks that have been playing so well for the last 7-8 weeks of the NFL season?
Well, actually, I mean, it's all about, being physical. I mean, our games are extremely physical with that team. And, it's basically, it can end up either way. It could be in their favor or our favor. But I know that in the last several times we've started out really fast. And because we put up points on the board, that's not a team that is battling from behind too often. So, we put them in a bind, stress them out a little bit. Then they end up making a couple more mistakes. Next thing you know, we're up a couple touchdowns down there, which never happens when we're in Seattle. And we end up coming out with the win. So if somebody gets a big lead up on this team, they could come back, but at the same time, it definitely puts them in dire straits,
Now,
especially in the playoffs.
yeah, especially because there's so much at stake, and you get pressure starts getting the players and everything else. But you also played the Minnesota Vikings, their opponent, this week, and I think most people aren't giving the Vikings a chance. You played them way back early in Week 9, and you lost to them. How do the Vikings? I mean, because I don't see them as a tough team like you guys are, but how do they stand up against this Seattle Seahawks squad this weekend?
Well, they have a lot of talent. They definitely have a lot of talent. And, Adrian Peterson does, a fantastic job of just drawing so much attention. And, that definitely helps out the QB. When we played Minnesota, we lost in overtime. So, I still think they're a good team, and I still think that they were trying to, identify themselves. And, it's really big to see how they're going to fare against, Seattle. But, maybe losing like that to Seattle was good for them. I expect them to come out with a lot of fire. I expect that to be a huge game. And, what's really scary is if Seattle ends up winning that game, I'm afraid that they might get on a roll, even though they're going to a different team every week throughout the playoffs. I still see them as being probably the most dangerous wild card that we have.
I'm sorry, Rod. I don't think anybody's going to really disagree with that. We're talking to Rodger Saffold, of course, from the Rams, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Now, you look at the 8 teams playing this weekend. Aaron Rodgers there, Big Ben's there. We mentioned Russell Wilson, just an incredible season, 34 touchdowns, 8 picks. He ran for 1,000,000 yards, had a great season. When you look at your own team and you look at your own quarterback, is Nick Foles the guy moving forward to take you from 7 wins to eventually double figures and eventually a lengthy playoff run that, to be fair, I kind of expect, given the defense and the running attack that you guys have. Is Nick Foles the guy?
Well, basically, I think for him this year, it was so much thrown at him. I think he's still trying to understand the offense and understand, like, where we want to go with everything, understand where he needs to pick up on blitzes. And I think that over time that's going to help him. And now he has another offseason without, all the distractions of being traded and what are you going to do your first season and are you going to stay here? And I think that's why we threw in Case Keenum. He knows the offense. He's been a backup for a while. He's had to play for us in difficult situations. So, we threw him in there like, hey, we're giving you a chance. Just go here and play the game and allow Nick time to, understand everything. So, next year is probably going to be a toss-up still. It probably still be. But I expect a big improvement out of Nick. And, you never know. Everything, all the pieces could fall into place and we could be exactly where we want to be. But, I think that we need to, continually try to, keep away from these injuries, man. I mean, these injuries hurt us this year a little bit, especially losing Robert Quinn, myself. I mean, we joke about it in the training room, talking about how we got an all-star team in rehab. So it's just it's stuff like that that has to kind of subside for us to play great.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to win when you have your stalwart sitting in the training room. A kid who was, I think, a surprise early, but then you expected him to be great. I think going forward, he's going to be. Your running back, Todd Gurley, is someone we love coming out of college, and he did not disappoint. What can you tell us about him? Because a lot of young runners, it takes him a while. He got it right away, and it's pretty exciting to see where he potentially will go as a running back in this league.
I think that he just relied on his instincts. He started getting better and better about just feeling where the holes were instead of just running where we told him to. And that opened up some big gains for him, especially against Arizona when we played at Arizona. He really broke out that game. And I mean, broke out in a big way. And, that was good for him because he trusted his instincts and he also grabbed confidence.
Yeah.
And you're going to definitely need those two. And you saw, like, every game after that, he continued to keep churning out these runs. He'd go for 3 yards, 7 yards, 3 yards, 73 yards. It's crazy. So, I think that those two have really helped him. And, it's definitely going to help out the offensive lineman because you want to block for somebody like that. And one guy that I remember that I used to love to block for like that is Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
And that's big.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really big to see a guy that physical doing what he can to get every single yard. I mean, the boy's working.
Rodger, Tiki and I were in St. Louis. I guess that was middle of October, right?
Yeah.
We were doing a radio tour
for Harley Davidson.
with Harley, and Mike Jones came and hung out with us, and we got to meet a bunch of fans and had a really good time. It's funny. We're a national show, and obviously, when issues of relocation come up, it's not really intimate to us because it doesn't affect us directly, but it could directly affect you and your teammates. I'm sure. I don't know if you rent or buy, but you have roots there and you have family there. And how much do you guys talk about it? How much do you worry about possibly having to pick up and move out west?
Yeah, and do you want to move out west? Do you want to move?
Yeah.
Well, there's pros and cons to everything. There's pros and cons to absolutely everything. But one thing I know is that, I started here in St. Louis. So, that was big for me. This is where I played for. I love the fans. I love the atmosphere over here. But at the same time, I can't focus on those types of things because I'm still an employee of the Rams.
Yeah.
No matter where they are, I'm still an employee of the Rams. And I think that Coach Fisher did a good job of making sure that didn't distract us during the season. In the off season, there was whispers here and there, but we're pretty much left in the dark at this point. So, I basically was like, what do I need to do? I said, there's nothing that I can do now because I don't know if we're staying or going.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I can do is focus on my rehab and get some of the younger guys along so that they're prepared, more prepared, because you already know if you relocate, it's another huge distraction. And what does that do to the team? Do you have a fall-off year if you move? We can't go through that. We can't have another 7-9 season. We got too much expectations for that.
Yeah, you got too much talent as well, but the winters are much nicer in Los Angeles than they are in St. Louis. I know that Gillette is helping celebrate the importance of protection, and no better way to do that than with offensive linemen for Super Bowl 50 that's coming up. And I just watched this disturbing video of you putting a shield over yourself and trying to dance. I'd be more like Trent Williams, who just kind of holds the wall up in the dance. Tell us what you have going on with Gillette and Fusion Pro Shield.
Well, basically, it's like you said, it's all about protection. I mean, and when you talk about protection of NFL athletes, I mean, it's offensive linemen protecting the quarterback. I mean, we're not protecting the quarterback from irritation. We're protecting them against big hits. And, even though that you call it disturbing, I mean, your man can dance. I mean, I can definitely dance.
Maybe it was the uniform. I think it was the uniform distracted me, Rodger.
It's definitely the uniform. I've had battles with Robert Quinn, Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey. I mean, the list goes on. And, I end up victorious every time. So it's got to be just a uniform. But, the good thing about this new razor is that, they got lubricant to it, so it's easier to shave. So, it's a lot smoother, no irritation. So it's big. So we wanted to make sure that we put out there and got, guys that don't normally get the spotlight to be able to get a little bit of shine. So, we got all these current and future offensive linemen We want them to just send in their moves to Twitter with the hashtag Shield Move, and then we want to watch them, man. We want to see your stuff, man. So go ahead and give us what you got, and see if you can, add up against us. I don't really think anybody can add up against me.
No,
In
come
fact,
on.
I think I did better than the other two players.
They better come correct, man. They won't embarrass yourself on social media. That stuff lives forever.
Now, people embarrass themselves on social media every day by what they tweet.
Forever.
Yeah, right. It never goes away. But we appreciate you, Rodger, for stopping by today, and good luck with this. It's fun actually. People should go watch these. You can go check them out online. You can find them. We tweeted it out on our Tiki and Tierney Twitter account and Facebook. So appreciate you, Rodger, and good luck next year. I know we're rooting for you guys because the expectation has been there for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Tell Fisher, tell your coach if he doesn't get to the playoffs next year, I'm going to tell everybody he's got to get fired. Let's go, Fish. It's about time, Jeff. Come on, get off the treadmill of 500. Go win some games, Fisher, will you?
He's a knucklehead, Rodger. Don't worry.
Yeah, but you know I'm right about that. Rodger, have a good offseason, my man. Enjoy.
All right, thank you so much.
That's a good man right there, Rodger Saffold. Yeah, knucklehead, but I'm right.
Yeah, of course.